And by work, what do I mean? Work means a lot of meditating, a lot of praying, a lot of stillness. Because at the end of the day, God is quiet. It's still. It's nothingness. For real, for real. It's, you cannot describe it. Your brain cannot conceive of what true quiet and nothingness is. And this is what God is. It is nothing. It is quiet. And the only way to get there is through prayer or meditation. The only time when you're truly quiet and concentrating on one thing. And that one thing, like I say, is going to be God. And the only way to get to God is through the will of developing the true self. So it's like you have to train your instincts to think. That's basically what we're doing here. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is when your instincts start to come about, you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing at all times. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But most of the time, your brain gets in the way. And when your brain gets in the way, you start to think. And when you start to think, bad things happen. Because you're not thinking for yourself. You're thinking from the seat of the ego. And the ego is going to make your life horrible. For real, because it's not really that smart. It just thinks that it's smart. But it's not. Because it doesn't want the best for you. It only wants the best, safest situation. And the best, safest situation is not the best thing for a human being. The best thing for a human being is conflict. You hear a lot of people say, oh, we want peace, we want peace. But people don't understand what true peace is. True peace is just death. Because without conflict, you can't learn. And without learning, you can't grow. See what I'm saying? When you're in a situation, you figure out a way to get out of that situation. That is pure determination. And that's will. You see what I'm saying? When you're pressed in a situation, the brain shuts down and the ego, it goes to sleep for a minute. Because when the ego is facing something that it cannot face, it automatically turns to despair. And sometimes despair leads you to action. Like, let's say, for instance, you're about to lose your house. You'll work, 40 extra hours a week to make sure that you get that done. The only way to get this done is through pure determination and willpower. So you want to take that same willpower and develop your true self. And through doing this, your ego will slowly start to stay asleep because you don't want to kill it. Because you will need it at times. Because you can't go through your whole life not going through anything. And that's what most people want, but that's not how you're supposed to live. You're supposed to live through going through things. It's an adventure. This is why you created yourself, because essentially your soul gathered up enough mass and speed to develop itself into a human being. And when that happened, it lost a lot of its power. And it became a slave to this flesh, this body that we live in. And through human beings' diet, we have let the ego basically take full control. And it has put the true self completely to sleep. Because a diet of the right foods is going to be very important to this. Because without that, the system will not work. Plain and simple. Because you are not going to be able to think correctly by feeding your cells the wrong types of food. Or, so let's call it negative energy food. It's the kind of energy that's going to bring you down. You never want your energy to move down. You want your energy to move up. So, like Dr. Morris said, anything that's low to the ground is low in energy. Anything high is high in energy. So, a fruit diet is going to be your 90% of your diet, and by the time that you complete this system, you will want to be on a fruit diet. You will not want anything else. And I have developed what I call a step down program on how to take you from a processed meat driven diet all the way down to a very simplistic fruit based diet with some vegetables, but very few. And we'll get on to that more when we talk about diet. I'm just trying to give you an overview of what to expect in the system and pretty much how it works. Uh, Once you start to get your diet right, you will start noticing that it will become easier to meditate. It will become easier to focus because a lot of processed foods, a lot of meat will cause your brain to go to sleep, basically. It goes to sleep like with the rest of your body because it takes so much time for your body to process all this stuff. On top of work schedules and children and all of these things that go on in our life, you don't have enough time to focus on God. So, but God is not mad because God doesn't get mad because he doesn't really care. Because what'll happen to you is you will, three things will happen. Really two. It's three, but the third thing is so far ahead of our time that there's really no point of focusing on it. But once you understand about energy, true energy, and I'll give you some books to read on a lot of these things I'm talking about, but reincarnation is a process of when you're what you have come down here to learn. Look at yourself as an explorer, a scientist. You come down here to learn about emotion and about life. And Earth is the best place to do this because it's full of life. Everything's alive on Earth. Everything. Nothing's dead on Earth except the things that die. And once they die, they are absorbed back into the Earth and life once again happens. So there is no true death on Earth. It is all a revolving door of life. And you understand that once we got here and you became human, you had to master these emotions. And every time you mess it up or don't get it right, you come back because you have to start over again. Now, the better you get at this over a lifetime, you will start to remember in your DNA, in your soul's DNA, what you learned the last time, and you will be a lot more advanced in the next lifetime. That's why you see some people who are extremely intelligent, extremely well put together, and they're very young. A 12-year-old who running a business and can talk to you like a mature 40-year-old. These are people who are on their next level. Who knows 200th, 100th, who knows what level, depends on how quickly your soul learns. Now, at a certain point though, if you turn your back completely on the source, which is God, the source which we all come from, you can become a disincarnate soul, which means that you're lost. You cannot ascend back up into the universe, nor can you descend down into matter in earth and become human again. So you're stuck right below the astral realm and right above the human realm, what some in religions will call purgatory. And this is where a lot of the negative energy comes from. It is pretty much what negative energy is. It is disincarnate souls that are angry, and every time that you're weak or not in control of yourself, their energy can merge with your energy, and since your brain is sleeping, it makes you do stupid stuff like rape and murder and all of the crazy shit that humans do that we really shouldn't be doing, because we are not a war people. We are a peaceful people. Once this thing starts to happen and your soul gets possessed, for lack of a better term, by these negative energy souls or disincarnate souls, and you don't get yourself back on track again, you become one of them. You become part, and you're trapped in there with them. And once you're trapped in there with them, you cannot get out. This is why it's important to have some level of spirituality throughout your life. It is so important. You're not going to be perfect. You're not here to be perfect, because there's nobody here to judge you. You are only here to judge yourself. This is why I told you earlier on, guided, we're going to take him out of the picture, because there's only one person to answer to, and that's you. So if you make bad decisions, bad things will happen. What you might call karma. Do something stupid happens to you. Do something good, something stupid also could still happen to you. But later on, something good will happen. So they are right. The road to hell is paved in good intentions. So do remember, just because you do going around doing a bunch of good deeds does not mean that bad shit will not happen to you. When nobody is protected from the negative side of the world. Nobody. Not Jesus Christ. You saw what happened to him. So, and yes, we do believe in Jesus Christ and all of the prophets, because as within 200 or 300 years, our stories will be told and people look at us like prophets. So we're just here all relaying the same message from, thousands of years ago, from many different religions. We are basically all saying the same thing. It just depends on who you are, and how you think is how you will connect to certain things. So this is what the Teth system is all about. It is about bringing together diet, meditation, prayer, God, and merging all of these into a way of life. A way of life that's not new. I didn't just, like I said, I didn't create this. I just put this together very simply for people to be able to understand that this is not a difficult thing to do, but it takes a lifetime to do. It is something that once you start, you cannot go back to living a regular life anymore, because once you find out that you are basically in control and accountable for all of your actions, this is not something to play with. So you can become a disincarnate soul and be trapped here, or after say 1,000 lifetimes, you go back up into pure energy. But I mean, the whole reason we came down here was to experience the world. We've already been up there. You must take all experiences and document them in your brain, because everything that happens to you is very important. Every word you speak, and we'll get on words and vibrations of words, and how words truly do have power, and how the energy behind them makes shit happen. I mean, this is basically how deep this is going to get. You're basically going to have 100% control over your entire life. 100% control. And what do I mean by 100% control? And you just said, oh, well, shit happens to you. Yes, shit does happen to you. But that's just a part of living. See what I'm saying? You can't control the weather, right? But you still get up and go to work every day. You may not feel like driving in the snow or driving in the rain, but you still do it. So it's the same process. Look at shit happening as rain or just bad weather. It's just something that happens. But that does not control the whole rest of your day. It doesn't control the rest of your life. It doesn't control anything. So we're going to learn how to be in 100% control of our lives.